Hello everyone. This video presents a notable event that happened on each day from the past week in history. On June 2nd, 1780, a week of violent rioting began in London, England, the worst in the city's history, by protesters against recent legislation to reduce official discrimination against Catholics. Known as the Gordon Riots due to Lord George Gordon being a primary anti-Catholic leader, a staggering 300 to 700 people were killed and many more injured, while property was damaged, including the embassies of Catholic countries. Also damaged was the reputation and prestige of England in the eyes of the rest of Europe, especially those nations with large Catholic populations. The cause of complaint was the Papist Acts of 1778, a set of laws that sought to undo the discriminatory anti-Catholic government policy of the Popery Act of 1698. The riot was ended when the army was called out and ordered to fire on any groups of rioters. On June 3, 2023, the world celebrates Chimborazo Day, a day to admire and adore the highest mountain on Earth. You might wrongly think of Mount Everest as the highest mountain, but when measured as the furthest distance from the center of the Earth, Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador is the first prize winner. An inactive volcano, Chimborazo has an altitude of 20,549 feet above sea level, much less than the 29,031 feet claimed by Mount Everest. So why is Chimborazo king of the hills? Because it is located near the equator, where the Earth bulges outward from the center, making Chimborazo the champ, and besides, it has a much cooler name. Despite its tropical location, Chimborazo is covered by glaciers and is a challenge for mountaineers, having to contend with snow, ice, and jagged rock. On June 4, 2010, the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket booster made its first flight, and since then has been used as the launch booster for well over 200 launches, only one of which was a failure and one other a partial failure. A reusable heavy-lift orbital launch booster, the Falcon 9 is famous as the only privately made rocket to have carried humans into orbital flight, and is the only current U.S.-sourced rocket certified for manned flight. In 2021, the amazing Falcon 9 set a space launch record by launching a mind-boggling 143 satellites on a single launch mission. SpaceX, more formally known as Space Exploration Technologies Corp., was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk, with a goal of lowering the cost of space travel and eventually sending humans to Mars. On June 5, 1893, the murder trial of Lizzie Borden began. Borden was accused of killing her father and stepmother with an axe. Despite the popular assumption of her guilt, she was acquitted in one of the most famous trials in U.S. history. Some of the other candidates as the most famous American trial include the following. In the Sacco and Vanzetti trial of 1921 for robbery and murder, the men were believed by many to be railroaded because they were immigrants and anarchists in a case that saw worldwide attention. The Scopes Monkey trial of 1925 pitted super lawyers William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow against each other in arguing about Darwinian evolution. In the O.J. Simpson trial of 1994 to 1995, the football legend was accused of double homicide in a highly televised trial featuring the best defense lawyers of the day. What trial do you think is the most famous or infamous in U.S. history? On June 6, 2002, high above the Mediterranean Sea, an asteroid estimated at about 10 meters in diameter exploded in the upper atmosphere with a similar effect to a 26-kiloton nuclear bomb, a larger blast than either the Hiroshima or Nagasaki bombs. What is really scary is that scientists failed to detect the approach of this chunk of space stuff, and there would have been no warning had it hit the surface of the Earth. Known as the 2002 Eastern Mediterranean event, another scary what-if scenario involved a tense military standoff happening between India and Pakistan at the time. Had the errant asteroid detonated above or between those countries, it is highly possible a nuclear war could have been triggered. As a question for my students and subscribers, do you believe an asteroid will hit the Earth in your lifetime? On June 7, 1938, the government of Nationalist China, at war with the Japanese invaders in the Second Sino-Japanese War, destroyed the embankments of the Yellow River, creating a massive flood in order to halt the advance of the Japanese army. The event, called the 1938 Yellow River Flood, was part of a war strategy of scorched earth policy, leaving little or nothing for the invaders to use in their conquest. Described as the largest act of environmental warfare in history, the resulting flood killed between 500,000 and 900,000 Chinese civilians and created about 3 million homeless people. An unknown number of Japanese troops were killed, although probably not many. The Japanese were inconvenienced, but the long-term damage to farmland and housing lasted years. The brutal tactics certainly cost Chinese President Chiang Kai-shek popular support. On June 8, 1959, the U.S. Navy teamed up with the United States Post Office Department to attempt to resurrect the concept of sending mail via rocket or missile. The submarine USS Barbaro was employed to launch a Regulus cruise missile, normally armed with a nuclear warhead, but this time carrying post office containers from the Atlantic Ocean to Naval Station Mayport in Florida. The 22-minute flight of the missile accurately delivered the commemorative mail enclosed, each piece addressed to President Eisenhower and other government officials. While the test was technically successful, no such program could be cost-effective enough to use this system as a regular delivery method. Previous proposals and attempts to send mail via artillery or rockets started as far back as 1810, and the idea continued to fascinate mailmen through the 20th century. Will we ever really use missile mail? As a question for my students and subscribers, which event from this past week in history would you most like to learn more about? Please let me know in the comment section below this video. If you liked this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History and Headlines and become one of our patrons. Your viewership is much appreciated. For image, audio, and other credits and attributions for components of the individual videos in this compilation, please see the descriptions of their respective videos, which are linked to in this video's description.